All right, now we are ready for part 2 of the AJK Easy Knit Scarf. And I just wanted to show y'all the super easy way that I kind of elongate the right angle of the triangle that we're creating. Or elongate, I guess let's use a super mathy word, hypotenuse. Because I mean, you can totally stop. So this is not a to scale size. This is obviously a tiny little version just for the video. But here's where we started with our one little cast on. Here is the non-increase side. This is the increase side, obviously with our little stitch marker just to remind us which side we're increasing on. So here's our 90-degree angle right here. This is the side that's going to point down toward your toes when you're wearing the triangle scarf. So the part that kind of hangs in front like a bib and that comes to a point, that 90-degree angle is the part that's going to point down toward your toes. And then up here, the top of our increase side, this is the part that goes around your neck, the longest part of the triangle. So I like to you can totally stop here. It's not a big deal. It will work as a scarf, but I like to elongate this little section right here just a little bit more to have a little extra to go around my neck. And it kind of helps. It's never going to be centered. This part is never going to be centered because this is a right triangle. But it does help just to have a little extra here to wrap around. So if you're following the pattern, once you've got the appropriate number of rows that you've knitted, and this pattern is so easy to modify, you can make it, this is almost like a little toddler size scarf. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. It is so easy to do. You literally keep knitting that way if you want it bigger, or you just stop early if you want it smaller. So let's pretend like I'm doing a toddler size, y'all. So I have come to the point where I'm at the bottom here of my non-increase row, and I am ready to start making that edge, that finished edge. Listen how easy this thing is. You're literally just going to bind off until you get to a certain point, and then you just keep knitting. Oh my gosh, it's that easy. Seriously, like it's kind of magic, but not really. It's so easy, it's crazy. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So like I said, you're binding off on your non-increase side. And if you're following the pattern for the regular adult size, you want to have 14 stitches left on your cord to extend that a little bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I'm actually going to grab my stitch marker and throw it right here so that I know when I get there, that's where I stop binding off. You don't have to do that. You can count it. You can take a chance, whatever you want to do. But I like to let myself know. All right. So to bind off, you're going to knit that first stitch. And then you want to knit one more. We've got 2 stitches on this needle, and then grab that first stitch and just pull it over the second one, and you have bound off your first stitch. So let's keep binding off, and bind off loosely. You don't want to keep a lot of tension on this yarn right here so that you have a nice finished edge that's not bunched up or anything like that. Sometimes you can't really tell if you're binding off too tightly until you go to block it. I'm only saying that from experience. And then you can't really stretch your finished edge as much as you thought you were going to be able to. And I actually knit this last row pretty tightly. So you just go down the line, binding off. See, it leaves that gorgeous little edge, and there is your edge that's going to point toward your shoes when you're wearing it, the bottom of the triangle bib part. Keep binding off until we get to around 14 stitches left. You can totally modify that too, if you're making a smaller scarf or a larger scarf, or if you want extra to wrap around your neck. You can, you know, add more stitches to that. Do maybe 20 or something like that. All right, so we're almost to our 14th stitch, or sorry, with 14 left. There's our handy dandy little stitch marker. I'm gonna slide him off because he's just gonna get in the way now. All right, so we were binding off. Now, just keep knitting. Actually, you know what? I counted 14, but that's a stitch right there. So I'm gonna bind off one more. Sorry, that'll be correct in the pattern, I promise. All right, now I'll have 14. So just knit. 1, 2, 3. See? These are bound off. These are still knitted. So just keep on knitting to the end of your row. And you don't even have to worry about the increase side anymore since we're just finishing up the scarf. This is where I ran out of yarn and was super lazy and just knotted it instead of, you know, trying to make it look like I didn't change skeins. It's whatever. You're the boss of your knitting, right? All right, I'm at the end of my row. So now I'm gonna turn and let's just knit back down. So remember, we're elongating that last point on the triangle. So you have just a little more to wrap around your neck. And it just helps make the scarf really secure for when, you know, you're chasing little kids around or walking to work and it's windy out, whatever. You don't have to keep readjusting. To me, I don't know. I like big squishy scarves. All right, we've knit down. So there we go. See, here's the bound off stitches. There's the knitted stitches. Turn again. We're gonna do the exact same thing. Bind off. So knit 1, knit 2, and then bind off that stitch. And it will leave kind of a little step there, but that's totally going to be hidden by the fringe. So you don't even have to worry about how messy or clean. Obviously, I mean, even this is not going to be seen because there's going to be fringe attached. So I always usually am really picky about my clean edges in knitting, but in this it really doesn't matter. So, all right, and we're going to bind off again, and then just keep on knitting up. And you will literally do this over and over for about 6 rows. To elongate that last little part of the triangle. Knit back down. This part goes pretty quickly. It's really fun because you know you're at the very end of that scarf, which, I mean, if you really worked at it, they go so quick for this super bulky size 6 yarn. I'm also working on a sock in fingering weight yarn. So when I switch over to this, it's like, I feel like I have like giant hands or something. It's so crazy switching back and forth from fingering weight to super bulky. All right, we're back to binding off again. So knit 1, knit 1 more, bind off again, and then knit back up. So keep on doing this until you get to the very edge. You'll just keep going back and forth, binding off all the way up, stepping a little bit. And then when you get to the end, you will have elongated that just a bit to where it makes it more comfortable to wear. Then, congratulations, you are on to your fringe and you've completed the knitting part of your scarf.